Good morning. Welcome back to Snackcast.
Yes.
We're coming at you today with heart rate zones. What are they? Why are they important? Why do we care? How are they useful?
Yeah.
So
Heart rate zones are fun.
they are fun.
Yeah.
So you have a story about Bob.
Yeah. Bob, Sarah, you name it. Doesn't really matter.
A friend of a friend.
Friend of a friend. I know a guy who.
Yeah.
Right? So heart rate zone training. Bob decides that he wants to go out and run a half marathon.
Finally get in shape.
Finally get in shape. I want to run a half marathon as my goal or whatever. And I start on my plan. And I print it out or I download it to an app or whatever and get out there and I get after it. And things are going good, right?
Oh, yeah.
Day 1, day 2, day 3, I'm following right along. Here comes day 4 and day 5, and all of a sudden, here comes my cold. I'm sick. I overdid it. I got to take a week off, and then I'm back in that, all right, reset mode.
So you keep saying I, but I thought we were talking about Bob.
We were talking about Bob.
I thought that, so if Bob makes it to day 5, going that aggressive right out of the gate, he's probably lucky he didn't have some other injury.
Right.
So, but he blew heart rate too often, overstressed his cardiovascular system.
That's correct.
And it actually led to him being sick.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a cold per se. I mean, it could be like you talk about it. We talked about it the other day. It could be an overuse injury. Heart rate zone training really is a customized way of organizing your workouts. Maybe organizing is a bad word, but customizing your workouts to the plan that you're about to achieve. And the way it works is there's advanced models, but the very basics, there's 3 heart rate zones, right? It's a warm-up, it's a fat-burning mode, and a anaerobic zone.
Well, actually aerobic. It goes fat burn, aerobic, and then anaerobic.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So I actually brought a visual. So
The whole premise of it is to stay in one of those 3 zones.
figure out the zone you want to start in.
Yes.
Stay in that zone and allow the body to work up to pushing into other zones.
Right, and let me give you an example. So if there's lots of plans that you can download on the internet, heart rate zone training, and the zone may say, hey, I want you to stay in aerobic zone today, right? And what that means is you're going to operate probably between 70 and 80% of what your maximum heart rate should be, right? I'll give you an example of how it worked with me. So when I was training to do a half Ironman, I actually had a heart rate zone training program. And it would say, I want you to run 6 miles today. And you'd go out and run those 6 miles, but I want you to stay in these zones, okay? On my watch, if all of a sudden I hit, let's say the heart rate zone was between 125 and 150. If I hit 155, I would actually be forced to walk.
Right.
So it would dial it back. So then I would rest until 125, and then I would get running again.
So even whether you're running, walking, whatever, the point is to go hard as you're comfortable.
Right.
Until you reach the max, and then slow down, settle your pace a little bit until you hit the minimum, and you keep your heart rate operating in that high-low window.
That's correct. And some days it's gonna tell you to go all out. Some days your plan is gonna tell you, we want you to stay in this zone.
Well, what if I don't have a plan? What if I am just trying to get healthy and I'm not training for some
you can use
out
this
in the future?
You can use this. Just I would organize a way of saying, hey, I want to stay in the fat burning aerobic mode 3 days a week, and then other days I need to have a recovery zone where I stay in that base zone, and then 1 day a week have a zone where you're kind of going all out. Does that make sense?
Okay. Well, I used it once, specifically to train for a half, but I really just, I didn't have a plan. There wasn't a structure. It was a buddy of mine that said, hey, why don't you target a zone, stay in the zone, run until you hit the peak, walk until you hit the minimum. That's what I did. And it was amazing how fast I worked up to being able to push out of that zone.
Right.
And I'm not sure what the medical science is behind that.
Everything's improving. Your muscle efficiency.
And I guess it's a gradual improvement.
Right.
You're not overstressing.
Right.
To that point.
So like the first week, you'll find it hard to stay in particular zones.
All right.
It'll be really hard.
So real quick, I brought a visual. There's a million ways to do this. There's calculators all over the internet. There's fancy watches, all kinds of stuff. The simplest way is...
This is to calculate your maximum heart rate zone, right?
Well, first we're going to calculate the maximum, and it's 220 minus your age. Now, your level of fitness can dictate, maybe you can go a little higher than this. Maybe you should go a little lower than this. Again, kind of do your own homework. We're not doctors. But to Kevin's point about the fat burn zone is one of those zones is typically 60 to 70%. So for me, at 49 years old, based on the simple math, I would want to stay between 103 and 120 beats per minute to stay in that fat burn zone.
Right. And that's where you can log lots of miles. That's where you could,
Oh, you can do a ton of good without ever leaving that zone.
What was the upper end of that? 120. So you'd be surprised how easy it is going to be to blow through 120.
Oh, yeah.
And then force yourself. That's the painful part, is forcing yourself back underneath that. Right?
Yeah. You say painful. I'm like, whoo! So,
but the point is to go a long term. It's building that long distance engine, whether it's time, whether it's
well, that was
miles.
The amazing thing, right? It is when I first started doing this, I'd be 30 seconds and I'd hit max.
Right.
And a month later, I'm 10 minutes and I'm not hitting max. And I'm like stop!
Max, I want to slow down.
All right, we're out of time. We ran way long today. I hope it was valuable. Ideas, hit us in the Facebook group, the YesFit Facebook group. Email us at snackcast@yes.fit. And I think that's it. Sorry for going so long, Jerry and Juan. I know y'all have other stuff to do.
That's it. Stay moving.
That's it. See ya.